Yeah, aloha everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day. It's a little cockeyed here, huh? Let's see if I can change it a little bit. Just wanted to see what's going on. I've been working on a new book, and I'm currently writing this section on salvation. Has anybody ever taken the time to think about like what salvation is? I kind of just wanted to work this thing out. I quite often I'll get like a lot of good feedback about ideas, and so that's kind of what this is. I'm trying to figure this out in real time. So if anybody has any criticism or any ideas that could help me, that would be epic. Just either send them to me, message them to me, or you could just put them in the comments or whatever. So on the topic of salvation, like I'm trying to describe salvation as a process. Does that kind of make sense? I'm just going to read out what I got so far. Salvation is an ongoing process, a transformation. It is an intimate, passionate, necessarily violent relationship with death. It is only through sacrifice that you are allowed to continue on the path of salvation. The more the old you dies, the more the new you is reborn, awakened to the truth, the light, and the reality that you live in a world of your own ideas. The realization that all creation is your creation. Every morning you create a new world, and every night you destroy it. You think it's a fair representation of salvation? Because it's difficult to try to use words to explain it, and that's where I'm having a little bit of difficulty going there. I use the this is a way I try to describe it. Have you guys ever heard of the there's like a famous, I don't know if you call it a maxim or you call it like a situation, but it's called Theseus's ship. So let me know what you guys think about this. Suppose that there's this famous ship, and the ship is sailed by the hero Theseus. In a great battle, okay, this ship is now a museum piece. And fuck, let me start over. I kind of fucked that up. Imagine there's a great ship, just this huge, amazing ark with it's all wooden, and they sail this ship across the ocean. And as the ship wears out, they replace the parts, like the old rotted wood parts, with new parts. So by the time the ship gets to its destination, it has been completely replaced with different pieces of wood. Is that the same ship, or is it a new ship? Does that kind of make sense? I think that that's a good way of describing what we are. I think it's a good way of describing form. I think it's a good way of trying to describe how we change in life. And that's the process I was trying to write about. It's a good analogy. It's almost as good as the whirlpool, right? Like a whirlpool is a form. It is a form that constantly brings in new water, but it's always new water. So you're always changing. That's one concept I had on there. Let me see what else I got. I think that's a pretty decent part of it. One other part I had is let me know what you think about this. Have you ever made up a story in your mind? Like think of a character. It could be anybody. For me, I'm just gonna make up a story about a guy named. How about a guy named Bird? And Bird is a character that gets into all kinds of trouble, but he's got a really good heart and he cares about life. Okay, so you should make up your own story. Make up your own character, your own story. Because here's the question. Once you've made up a character and you've thought about the story that the character is going to be in, is that character you, or are you that character in the story? Does that kind of make sense? So in my story, there's a guy named Bird. So is Bird part of me, or am I part of Bird? I know it sounds a little crazy, but just think about it for a minute. In your own story, make up a character, whatever it is. Now think about the character that you've created, this imaginary character that you've created in your head to be part of a story. Do you live in that character, or does that character live in you? Are you ready for the kicker? Now think about it from a different section. I think about it from a different angle. If you said that you created the character in the story, who created you? And do you live in the mind of someone who created you, or does the creator live in you? See, this gets back to the very beginning of the book that I'm writing about, like the fractal idea of nature. And I think it's just a great way to try to understand an intimate relationship with something bigger than you. Like, and you can go further down that road. Think about the story you're creating. Think about the characters you're creating in your own story. Pretend you're writing your own book. Pretend you're going to write this awesome fantasy, and it's going to be a story that everybody loves and they want to read it. Now, the characters in that story, those are part of you. Those are your creations. But I promise you, the more you think about those characters and the more you think about the story, the more they begin to take on a life of their own. And I argue that that's what we're doing. And I think if you can look at your life that way, I think you can live a life worth living. I know it's kind of abstract, but just think about it, because that's the part where I'm at right now in trying to describe salvation. And I thought that was a pretty good understanding of how to get to see the world from another point of view. That's a great way for you to understand that you're a creator and that you have the ability to write a story. More importantly, write your own story that's worth reading. You know what I mean? You got to be able to create a story that people would love. And I think when you start doing that, then you start writing your own story that people would love. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I got to get out of here, but I just wanted to share that with you guys. And thanks for all the feedback. A lot of people have been hitting me up and sending me messages about where I could take it or what they think or if they have any ideas. So thanks, guys. All right, aloha.